Hey everyone, welcome to today's class. In today's class, we are going to look into block elements and inline elements. We're going to look into it deeper. Our last class we talked about HTML display elements, and we also looked into, empty elements and then nested elements, HTML nested elements. So, in today's class, we're going to talk about block level element and inline element. And if you have not seen our last video, please go back and watch it. It's very important. And if you are coming across our page for the first time or YouTube channel for the first time, you are welcome to Code with Chris. This channel is dedicated in teaching web development from scratch for free. So whether you're a total beginner or someone looking to sharpen your skills in coding or web development, to be precise, this channel is the right channel for you. I guarantee you that your success is sure with this channel and page, right? So make sure you subscribe and follow us. Also turn on your notification bell so that you'll be the first to be notified whenever a new video drops. And also don't forget to share, comment, and like. Thank you. So our previous classes, we started elements proper, HTML element, what it is, and different types of elements. And in HTML, elements are actually divided into various types, starting from document, root, or metadata element, which is the head section, right? Which is this. So this is what document, root, or metadata element, right? And we also have document section element or sectioning element, which is the body, the section, and all of that. So we also have empty elements, and then we also have block level elements and inline level elements. So we are going to look into it proper. HTML elements are divided into various types, but we have two main categories based on how they behave in the document layout flow, which is what the block level element and inline element. So what is block level element? A block level element is an element that takes up the full width available, meaning that it always starts on a new line and it stretches out, from the left to the right as it can. It stretches out from the left to the right as it can. It takes up the full width of our browser. It occupies the entire horizontal space of its parent container. It forces a line break before and after the element. So you can set width, height, margin, and padding on it, right? So the common characteristics you can use to know them is that it always starts on a new line and it expands 100% width of its container by default, right? And it can contain other block and inline level elements inside it. Just like yesterday we talked about nested elements, and one of a perfect example for elements using nesting is actually block level element, because it can contain other block level elements and also contain other inline elements, right? So okay, just like this P element we have here, this is a nested element because this P element has H4, right? So it can contain or house other elements inside it, right? And it supports box model properties like width, height, margin, and padding, right? So we have a whole lot of them. So we are going to look into few, right? So now for the purpose of today's class, we are going to create a new file, to make our work organized. Remember, this is your workspace. Don't be afraid to actually navigate around and all of that. So we're going to create a new file for this class, right? So, and I've already taught you how to create a file. You can right click at this empty space, you see new, then you click new, or you come to this place at the top here, you see file, new file. You click it. All right, so I'm going to name it element.html. You must never forget to add the extension .html if it's a javascript.js, if it's css.css, right? So this is to show that it is HTML element, right? And next thing to do is to bring out our boilerplate. And of course, I've taught you two ways to bring out your boilerplate. You can either do shift 1, or it will bring out hyphen, or you type HTML and then you pick HTML5, right? So now this gives us our boilerplate and what, or HTML's elements or structure, right? So you know, one of the popular examples of block level elements is p tag. We've used p tag, we've used p element in our previous classes. So this is one of the common, block level elements. So I can say this is a paragraph, which is used to actually define a paragraph, right? So this is a paragraph. All right, so this is a paragraph. So let me run this in our browser. Right, so you can see this is a paragraph. So this particular element now, it takes up the full width of our browser from the left to the right. It takes up the full width. This text is actually small. That is why it's not actually really occupying the full width. But when you add a background color to this particular text, you find out that it takes up the full width of our browser, and it also gives it a margin top, right, left, and what, bottom. So that is perfect example of block level element, and it always starts on a new line. Another popular example is div. Div is another popular example of block level element. So I can say this is a div element. Is a div element. All right, so if I check my browser, find out that, okay, let me reload. You can see this is a div element. You can see that it started on a new line, right? And it's taking the full width of our browser. That is 100% width of our browser. So another example, which we have also seen in our last class, is H1 to H6, which is for heading. We've used it in our last classes. So this is a heading. All right, so you find out that in our browser, you see we have, this is a heading, right? It started on a new line. So the more you add block level element, it always starts on a new line. We have another element, block level element, known as header, right? Header is used to define the head section of our document. Every header, which can contain the logo, the website logo, the name, home page, about page, service page, pricing, contact us, and all of that. You can see button for login and sign up. So this defines the header section of our document. So you can say this is the head section. So this is the head section. You can see. So in our browser, we have, this is the head section. So block level elements always starts on a new line. So we also have another known as main. Now what main, it defines the main content of a document. It defines the main content of a document. So you can see this is the main content. Okay, so this is the main content. So it defines the content of a document If we go to our browser, you see what we have. Okay, there is a typical error, right? So you see what we have. This is a main content. All right. So now we also have another known as section. So what section does is that it defines an independent self-contained, independent self-contained content, right? Is a section. We can actually use it to section, our documents into section by section, right? So I can say this is okay. This is the first section for this page. All right. So if I go to our browser, okay, it's still loading. All right. So you see, this is the first for this page. Okay. Let me reload our browser. All right. So we also have other ones, right? We have something like, footer, we have article, we have, aside. Yeah, aside. What aside does is that aside defines content aside from the main content. It is used to define content aside from the main content, So this is aside. So as we progress in our tutorial and classes, we're going to be introducing more. There are a lot of block level elements. So next we move to inline element. So what is an inline level element? An inline level element does not start on a new line. Yeah, it doesn't start on a new line. It only takes up as much width as necessary. It doesn't take much width, right? It takes as much width as necessary. If the content is small, it will actually take the width around that particular content. If the content is large, it will take the width around that particular content. It doesn't take the whole width of our browser, right? Just enough to contain its content. It takes the width that is enough to contain its content. So it stays in line with surrounding text and elements. It stays in line with surrounding text and elements. You cannot set width or height directly on inline elements. They adjust automatically to what? To content size. So if your content, let's say you have your inline element inside a content that is big, let's say H1, it will take the width and height of that particular element that is inside, right? So you can only set margin left, right, padding left, right, effectively, right? So what are the common characteristics? It does not start on a new line, first of all, and it only takes up as much space as its content, and can contain only text or other inline elements. It can contain only text or other inline. It cannot contain a block level element. You cannot have block level element inside a an inline element, right? So width and height can't be changed directly, right? So that is if you want to change the width, you have to put it inside a block level element, and then you expand the width. So, and we have few of them. We are going to see few of them. Perfect example or most popular is the most popular block level element, which is used to define generic inline container for text, right? So I can say this is a span element. This is a span element. All right. So if we move to a browser, okay, still loading. You can see this is a span element. So now if I add another span, you find out that it's not going to actually start on a new line. It's not going to start on a new line. It will just, because the first span did not expand or did not take up the whole width of our browser. That is why this is not going to start on a new line. I can say having another span. So you can see that the first one I wrote was, this is a span element, and then the next one is having what, another span. You can see that it did not start on a new line. Why? Because the first one did not actually take the full width of our browser. So in fact, the main feature of either block level elements or inline is that it doesn't start on a new line for inline elements, and for block level element it starts on a new line. And why? Because block level elements always take up the full width, so therefore it has no option than to start on a new line, right? So we also have other inline elements like strong, strong, which is strong, defines important, it defines important text. So this is a strong text. Okay, so we have, this is a strong text. So as we keep on adding inline elements, it will keep on, starting from where the other one stopped until the full width of our browser, is what is elapsed, right? So we also have other ones like, big. We have big. This is a big text. Is used to make the text big. We have big. We have, italic, to italize a word. This word, word is having a unique style. All right. So we also have button for, submission, login, and all of that. So button is line elements. So you can say submit. Okay. So let's check our browser. Okay, let me load. So you can see for big, this text now is quite bigger, right? And then italicized word, this sentence is italicized, right? And then the submit button. So we have a whole lot of them. Something like, we have code. Code is an inline level element, right? We also have small. This is used to define smaller text. All right. So we also have S element. S element, what result is that is used to define text that is no longer correct. A text that is no longer correct. Just let's take for instance incorrect. All right. So these are examples of inline level element. They are much. As we go on with our class, we are going to be seeing more. And then some, in our last class we talked about elements. Some empty elements are also regarded as what are an element. So something like break is used to break text to the next line, actually. And then we have HR, which is horizontal, for horizontal row, is used to actually, demarcate our documents from another document. All right, so you can see this horizontal row, right? So these are few examples. In our next class, we are going to see more. All right, so thank you for watching. If you have not subscribed, please make sure you subscribe to our channel and also follow us on other platforms like Facebook and YouTube at the same handle, Code with Chris. So keep anticipating our videos. Thank you.